Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Midweek Live Midweek Chat live with Jasmine. It has been a very interesting week and an interesting day. So hopefully my brain will start firing in all 85 cylinders as normal. But today we are joined by Diamond Drip, and I'm super excited. Diamond is an award-winning speaker with a background in visual communications, business strategy, a passion for personal growth, helping women to break free from fear and self-doubt and step boldly into their power. So Diamond, welcome.
Hey, Jasmine. It's so good to be here with you. I understand. My brain's waking up too.
Yeah, it's yeah. I was telling Diamond before we started this live stream, I just woke up from a little nap right before. Um, I've been up since midnight and it's noon now. So, you know, this girl was tired and she needed a 20-minute snooze. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, so that was me stepping boldly into my power today. It's like, let's, let's chill for a second.
Yeah.
Before we go on, just let us know. I mean, I gave that brief intro, but just tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Yes, I love the intro. So, yes, speaking is a byproduct of my business because speaking is the best way to get your message and your mission out there. But what my real passion is, and I think you hinted at it, was personal growth. And so, through my own journey with overcoming depression and trying to beat imposter syndrome and all of the things that come with being a human on this planet, I was searching for answers in all of the wrong places, actually. But one of the right places led me to human design and gene keys, which are two modalities that I use in my business to help women step boldly into their power. It gives them insight into their strengths, into the areas where they're more likely to lean into fear and self doubt because they're listening to messages that are outside of them instead of listening into that internal voice of wisdom. And it is my absolute joy to connect them back with that voice and to get them to trust that voice more than they do the outside voices.
Oh, I love that. And what we're talking about today is, aligning your life to your purpose. And you touched on it a little bit. So I want to go, a little deeper into that with, how did discovering human design and the gene keys help you to align your own life with your own purpose? And then how do you use those modalities to help your clients?
Yeah, I love that. So through I'll say human design because I'm still working with gene keys. I'm still working through my Venus sequence, giving myself grace there. But through human design specifically, I know that one of the gifts that is in my conscious sun is the gate of beginnings, and so I I used to do right, your mess is your message. I used to make myself wrong for changing all the time and being so open to change. Granted, my life taught me to do that. I was removed from my mom's care when I was 15 due to child abuse and neglect, and then put into the system. And then
Mm.
I met my dad, and all of the things, like lots of change. So I got used to change, but in my adult life, when it seemingly felt like I had more control over my life, I was still changing, whether it was shifting directions in my business, whether it was becoming a mom. That's always change all the time. It's constant change, it's constant
Mhm.
shifting and pivoting and all of the things. Um, but to learn that I'm a catalyst, like beginnings and completing cycles that, of course, are aligned for me, like that was one of the things that it became empowering to know that, I'm a launch pad. And so in embracing that, recognizing that in my business I can be that for other people. So many of us are walking around kind of like sleepwalking. We From the moment that we were born, we're in our parents energetic aura field, and so whatever they're saying, we believe and we take on as our own beliefs. And then
Mm-hmm.
we grow up and we have friends, and our friends think the same things, and then we take those in, and then society all the while is feeding us messages. And so it's like, at what point do you stop and take a moment and wake up and realize, like, I don't actually resonate with these things that I have believed for a really long time. Like, what is it that I actually believe?
But that takes courage though, right? Especially to go against what your family says is, you know, the way, and to go against your peer group. I mean, there are, so grown women who can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just, it takes a lot of courage, and I love, and so finding out more about who you were through human design helped you to be able to have that courage.
Yeah, courage, confidence, like whatever you want to call it. Because it was one thing to think I had these different strengths, but it was another thing to have the language that finally validated, like, no, these are the gifts that your soul chose in this lifetime. These were what you were brought into this world having in order to be successful. And it's like, oh, that's nice.
No, I think that's amazing. And so what I want to do, just to kind of take people back just a second,
Mhm.
is to explain a little bit more what human design is. Because one of the things that they can do when they go to your website is to have their chart pulled. So I think it'll be pretty beneficial for someone who is just watching, who is like, I want to align my life and my purpose, but what are they talking about? So,
Yeah, for sure. So, human design is a combination of a bunch of different sciences. I'll name a few: quantum physics, astrology, astronomy, the Chinese I Ching. And what it does is it takes the synthesis of these different sciences and gives you what's called a body graph chart. You can think of it kind of like a map to navigating this vessel, this being in this lifetime, and it helps you to understand why you've met so much resistance, because you were operating in the shoulds and the have tos versus what's lighting you up, what's bringing you satisfaction, success, redefining success, honestly, because
mhm.
so many of us, we go with society's version of success, which is like having a bunch of money and a bunch of things, when in actuality, success can be abundance, even can be so many different things. You can have health abundance, you can have time abundance, you can have, familial abundance. Like, there are so many different things. So taking back it helps you to take back sovereignty over your life and redefine things that for so long you kind of just went with the status quo.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I want it all. you know, I want the money, the health, the time. I want it all.
Yes.
I mean, that's maybe that's in my chart. Maybe.
So like that for some people, yeah. Like, so for me, I'm a one line, and I forget which gene key that was, but the one line is simplicity. And for
Um,
me, like having that validated, because we live in a world or a culture where, like I said, money kind of equals safety. It's like the more
mhm.
you have, the more you can do, not just for yourself, for other people, travel, do the things. And I'm like, I don't need a bunch of stuff to make that happen, though. Like,
Yeah,
it caused me to kind of challenge where that belief was coming from and recognize that, no, actually simplicity is it for me. But for some people, it's a lot. It's the extravagant. Like, it's for some people, it's there are six different lines. So there are
yeah.
different flavors of everything. Mine just happens to be simplicity.
And that's good to know. Like, that's just good to know, because like you and I talked before, you think that, okay, because I want this, or because I'm this way, or because my ambition is this, well, society, friends, whatever, they'll say, oh no, that's wrong. You need to do this, and you should be this way. And why are you like this? Well, it's like, you know what? Because to quote Lady Gaga, I was born this way. You know, it's like, this is who I am.
Exactly. Exactly. I was actually just singing that song. I forget what me and my partner were talking about this weekend, but I started singing that. I was like, this can't be helped.
I love that. I love that. And I'd be right there with you singing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I wanted to be a Broadway star. If I weren't a journalist, and I would have tried my hand at Broadway.
I love that for you, especially like we were talking about with your shimmy, your shimmery, shiny shape, you know? I love
Right? My little pop of extra on a dreary Wednesday morning.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No jazz hands here. Um,
Yes.
so so what would you tell one of your clients who is struggling because she's second guessing herself. She's second guessing her decisions, and she knows that something's not right with how she feels in in her atmosphere. What would you tell her so that she can, get on the path that she needs to be on, that she was born to be on?
Yeah, I love that. And so rightfully so with human design, it's the science of differentiation. So it would depend on the client. For some clients who are like a generator, a manifesting generator, we would have a sacral session where I would just ask them some very rapid fire questions, yes or no questions, so they can engage their sacral and see what feels right. Because oftentimes we know, like our bodies have so much wisdom. Our bodies know, like yes, no, but then our minds kick in, and it's like, well, what about this, or perhaps even this? And then we spend a lot of time up here and we forget what our bodies actually said. So if it was a manifesting generator or generator, which are energy types, then I would do sacral sessions. If it was a projector, a reflector, or a manifester, they're actually well served to have space where they can speak their truth with open-ended questions and kind of hear like a sounding board session and be like, oh yeah, and just kind of talk it through without judgment and talk it through
Mhm.
with someone who, because a lot of times when we talk it through with our friends or our family, they instantly were like, well, why don't you do this, or why don't you try this, instead of actually like listening and just letting
Mhm.
them kind of speak their truth. They immediately, and it's hard not to, they immediately jump to fixing. And
Yeah.
so having a space where they can share their truth and hear it reflected back to them so that they can feel like they can feel into it with their bodies what feels right. So it would, depending on the energy type, that's how I would handle that.
Okay. And you talked about judgment,
Mm.
right? And that's one of the things that keeps women from being visible in their businesses, in their lives, right? Is that fear of judgment. No one wants to look stupid. No one wants to think they look stupid. No one wants their friends to say, "Oh, why are you doing that?" So when you're helping women to get over their second guessing and their doubts, is it the same type of process to help them kind of get over that fear of judgment, and or just overcoming caring what other people are really thinking about them?
Absolutely. So that's where I get to look at their chart and help them see whatever the unique gifts that they have that are working for them towards helping them overcome that. Like I'll give an example. There was one client who I was talking to, and she used to use her voice so much. She used to voice her opinion. She used to be on social media so much, and then she had trauma happen in her life,
Hmm.
and that trauma forced her to hide her voice. And so once the trauma had passed, the event had passed, um, she had done her own work to get through that period, but the our thoughts that we think repetitively, they turn into beliefs. And so she had these beliefs from the time of her trauma that were still holding her back from being that person who was open and expressive again. And so I very Like for me, it's like and this is why having a guide is so important, because you can know your design, you can know your gene keys, but you get in your own way because like your that inner critic is really strong. So for me,
Mhm.
it was easy to be like, but you have gate 62, like that's your throat, that's you telling your experience, like that's what you're here to do in this lifetime. Like what do you mean you don't know how people are going to take it? Not, you're not for everyone, but for the people who you are for, they don't get a chance to hear you if you're hiding. So they
Mhm.
can't, they don't have that chance to resonate with what you're saying. Yeah, there are going to be haters. There's always haters, but those people aren't for you. And that's also why we have hide comments.
Exactly, exactly. One of one of my someone that I've collaborated with in the past, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a shot of tequila, baby." And I'm like, "I love you."
Yes.
You know, and it's like she's totally fine with that. It's like I'm not like all people are not my people, and that's okay. You know,
Exactly.
but it does take some guts to really to step into that. And you know, that goes to a lot of different things, but that's one of the things, like when, and I'm sure you tell this to with your clients as well, it's like you can't speak to everyone because then you're speaking to no one. And so knowing who your people are is really key when you're trying to get your message out, because it's easier to know what you're going to say if you know who you're saying it to. And you know, if you know who you are, then you know who your people are. It they're all
Yeah.
friends.
Like I said, a lot of times our mess is our message. So the things, the footsteps that we've taken to get where we are, like those beginning stages, that's where our people are, which is why it's such a gift that we have the wisdom to give them and be like, hey, I was there, right? We've all heard in the videos, like, have you, I've been there too. You're not alone.
Mhm.
Because honestly, we're not alone. But so many of us, especially with all the technology that we have now, it isolates us and it makes us think that we're alone, especially because we all have like the mask that we put on for social media.
Mhm.
And of course, the mask is everything's great.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
forces us to think if everything's not great, if we're not about to have a baby or get married or going on vacation to these sunny places, like what's wrong with me? And the reality is everyone's got something. They just
Yeah.
might not show it all the time.
Exactly. And it brings up a great point, because earlier you talked about, like, you know, overcoming imposter syndrome, and social media is a ripe place for everyone to have imposter syndrome. And I mean, I left like social media for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years maybe, because I started to feel bad about myself. And I didn't know why. I mean, it took me a while to figure out, wait, I'm starting to feel like I'm going on Facebook and I'm looking at different posts from my friends. And while I'm happy for them, I'm like, but I don't have that, or I'm not doing that. And that's never been me. Like I'll have imposter syndrome on a whole bunch of other things,
Yeah.
but it's never been one of that, like that situation. And so I was like, what's wrong with me? I need to stop this, right? Social media has to go. But for business, I was like, well, I need to go back, because when
Yeah.
you're visible, you make money.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to be a success. I want to help other people be a success. So social media came back many years ago. But, you know, but I love that you talked about, you know, overcoming the imposter syndrome. And that's one of the ways that you get to live your life in your purpose,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yes. And I love that you brought up social media, because it's one of those things where anyone who, like my followers, they see me post all the time. I took a few days and I completely unplugged. You wouldn't know it because I was still posting every day. And so, like, even for me, as technically a millennial, we're like the age group that like grew into social media and all of the things.
Mhm.
Like, I personally don't like social media, but like you said, I have a business. And
Mhm.
so just because I might not like it, if I'm not out there being visible, letting people know how I help, then people don't know necessarily. And so even
Yeah.
with that, it's just like having boundaries, and using schedulers is really nice because then
Yeah.
you can just schedule things. And like, don't get me wrong, if someone, and this is, we live in this like culture, and so everyone's like, oh, I want to see how many likes. Like, of course likes are cool.
Mhm.
I like likes. It's that
Yeah.
instant shot of dopamine. But when I get excited is when someone comments on something and they talk about how what I said actually resonated with them, or they DM me because of something they saw, and I'm able to actually have a conversation versus just seeing a bunch of likes on a photo. So
Yeah.
social media has its thing, but it's branding at that point.
Yeah. It really is. And, I tell people all the time, like those likes, it's a vanity metric. I mean, yeah, I mean, the algorithms love the likes because it shows engagement,
Yeah.
or people, like your content. And it feels good, that instant shot of dopamine, like you were saying. I mean, I'm still kind of newish to TikTok, but I'll post a video and I'll go on TikTok. Well, how
Yeah.
many likes does it have now? How many views does
Or
it have?
views, yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's 1,500 views. This is great. Oh, this only has 20. So do I suck today? It's
And
like,
that's what we don't want. As you know, it's crazy with TikTok. They keep trying to get me to turn on notifications. I'm like, no, you will not.
no.
You will not suck me into the void. No, I will check
Mhm.
every so often. If someone replies,
Yeah.
but no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. They try to suck you in. And it's like, oh, no, no, no. Excuse me. So we don't have too much time left. This has gone by really fast.
Yes.
How does a woman know that she's not living aligned with her purpose?
She'll know it because she's living in her not self theme. So each energy type has a not self theme. So for generators and manifesting generators, it's frustration.
Mhm.
Every time you are experiencing frustration, something is out of alignment. Something is amiss there. You're not listening to yourself. You're not doing the things that are putting you in alignment. For projectors, it's this sense of bitterness. A
Mhm.
lot of projectors, there are guides, and so a lot of times they will try to give their insight, their input, sometimes unprompted. And so when that happens, especially in the society that we live in, it's like, who asked you though? Like, nothing's wrong with me. Like, who gave you the right? And so it forces them to feel that sense of bitterness. For
Mhm.
manifestors, it's anger. So they get angry when they're in the flow of something and something stops because they didn't listen to their strategy and inform the people who are going to be affected by their decision. For reflectors, it's disappointment. A lot of times, patience is a virtue for everyone, but especially for reflectors. And when they start to try and initiate things unprompted or without waiting out whatever their phase is, they're going to be disappointed with the results. So your not self theme is a telltale sign for if you're out of alignment and if something needs to change, especially if you're doing it to the point that you're burning out. And burning out isn't always like, oh, I'm so exhausted. It can show up in the body too.
Mhm.
So many people are burning out their adrenals and needing needing so much rest and restock because they're just trying to do too much. Because we live in a society that's like, if you do this extravagant morning routine and then you have this super well planned out day, and then you, if you're a woman especially, and then even after all of that, you help the kids with their homework, you make dinner, you get them ready for bed. Like, that's all. Like, after a long day, that's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot. And when you talked about like this morning routine, I was thinking about how a friend of mine and we decided we were going to go and do like the 10-step K beauty routine, skincare routine. And we just knew we were going to have the best skin ever. It was going to be amazing. I mean, at this point in my life, I get one step, I feel ahead of the game. I just
Yes.
the 10. I mean, we went all out. We spent days doing research and buying all of the stuff, and And, I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do
Yeah.
it.
Mary Kay keeps trying to get me with their 4 thing. I have a sample kit that I bought November, December. It
Mhm.
surprises my Mary Kay person because, like, if I do all 4 of those steps, like, that's a treat for my face. I'm good with my Neutrogena in the shower. Like, if I get there, heaven help me, that day was awesome.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. Every so often I go and I get sucked in at Ulta to get another kit of some sort with, multi-step process. But, like you said, you have to know who you are.
Yes,
So
yes,
who I am is not the 10-step K beauty girl. That
exactly,
is for sure.
exactly.
Um, and so one of the things that I want to ask you though, so okay, so like I'm a manifesting generator,
Mhm.
right? So when I get frustrated, is there, like, I know there's no magic bullet, and I'm just going to go with this is just my personality because I
Yeah.
want it done like that. But when I get frustrated, is there something that we can do that can just kind of almost instantly put us back into alignment? I know that there's some work that still has to be done, but is there like something that we can do that just kind of pushes us there a little bit faster?
Yeah, I love that. So I can't remember how many open or undefined centers you had in your chart, but usually you're operating in one of those not self questions. And so I would invite you to have those questions written down somewhere and to act like first take a breath, because if we're frustrated, we're not getting enough oxygen to our brains
Yeah.
to help us regulate whatever needs to happen.
Mhm.
So obviously take a couple of deep breaths and then look at the questions and see which one of these are you trying to answer, because most likely you're trying to answer one of them and that's why you're frustrated. Like for me, like having a completely open ajna, one of the not self questions is, am I trying to convince everyone that I'm certain? Or having a completely open, well, it's an undefined crown, am I trying to answer everyone else's questions? I have my own questions. I'm a one line. I'm an investigator researcher. Like I have my own questions that I want to answer. When I start getting into, well, what if so and so asked this, or what if so, like, then I'm frustrating myself because I have the questions that I urgently want the desire for the information. But
Mhm.
then I'm like, well, what if this, and this? Our minds kick in, and it's like, what if this, and this? And it's like, okay,
Oh,
let me
wow.
take a beat. Let me take a beat, and let me figure out which one of these are my questions that genuinely I want the answer to, and which of these I can let go because nobody has time to answer all of the questions. Like that's what Google's for. AI is on the rise for all of your random
Yeah.
questions. That's what that's for.
I think I talk to Siri 85 times a day.
Yes.
Like just shouting out random questions that I need answers to.
Yes.
Just do it for me, figure it
Yes.
out. But I love that you said like take a beat. Like I don't think we take enough of those. It's we're in a society where it's like you must go, 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 go. And fortune favors the brave. It doesn't favor the one who just takes a breath. But you need to take a breath.
There's so much awareness in that breath. Like I have an app on my phone that reminds me to take like 2 or 3 minutes every so often. Like it's on. I think I have a program for like 12, 22, 333, 222, like all of the angelic numbers or whatever.
Mhm.
And even if I don't take time to actually go in and listen to the music meditation, I will stop whatever I'm doing and I'll take a few breaths because most likely I was sucked into something. And taking a moment to stand back and take a few breaths and redirect is like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, yeah, this is what I need to do to finish this.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I might try that. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. So I want to put in the chat here your website so people can go there. You can go there and have your chart done. Diamond is amazing, and it's a really all you need is like your name, your date of
Like,
birth,
yeah,
and the time you were born and the place,
yeah, that's
right?
it. That's it.
and and then Diamond works her magic behind the scenes, and you get this amazing body graph that tells you all about who you are. And of course, you can chat with Diamond, hire Diamond to tell you what it all means if you don't know, if you don't want to just randomly Google it.
Yes, you can save yourself so much time getting an actual reading versus
Hmm.
Googling all the things.
Yes, exactly. There, my earring got caught in my extra. Oh my God, it's pulling me. Okay, and so for anyone who's not who hasn't already downloaded, I have in the chat also the 5 keys to beat camera shyness, which is beatcamerashyness.com. And Diamond's website is diamonddripconsulting.com. And you cannot go wrong by typing in your info and getting everything that you need, because again, you need to know who you are so you know who you're talking to, and it's going to make you just a better business person, a better person, and you get to live as who you are and on your path aligned with your purpose and have a beautiful, a more fulfilled life, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So, Diamond, thank you so much for being on to this midweek chat. Yes. How are you? See, look, I, I can't get hearts popping up, but that's fine. That's fine. They will
On my
love it.
website is my YouTube channel. I just made a video showing people how to do that because so many people ask me, how do you make the hearts come out of your hand? Like, it's not hard.
I know. I mean, none, nothing, nada. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's coming from here anyway. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, as always, put them in the comments, and we'll answer them for you. And go to Diamond's website and get your chart done. Thank you again, Diamond, for being here, and you guys will see you next week. Bye for now.